platinum game there for a second.
Yeah, it happens at every elo. It I promise you, there are games I have. I'm like, God, this feels like gold. What is going on?
So I have a special guest with me today. Owners has decided to join for a VOD review. I made a promise that I was going to keep VOD reviews to platinum and below to help individuals that are kind of in lower tiered, but he made a special request and wanted to actually join the VOD as well too. So I wanted to give the opportunity for him to join. I think this is great that he's willing to come on. I'm sure a lot of people in the lower ranks could also learn something as well too from him, because higher level players, of course, are going to have much better skill, much better positioning than you would see in platinum and below. So, owners, thank you so much for joining. And why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hey, I'm owners. I'm a 3.9 peak main tank player. So Winston, Ryan, Orisa, a little bit of ball. I play for a team right now called Modus Operandi. We're high masters. Uh, I mean, that's all I got.
I think that's good enough. Well, this particular um, VOD review is on Route 66. You guys are on defense to start. Of course, on VOD reviews, it's really easy to see what the enemy team composition is. But so, what is kind of your thought process in terms of picking Reinhardt? Are you just trying to practice Reinhardt? Do you feel that Reinhardt's the best main tank for this map? What's your kind of thought process when selecting a hero?
Right now, at higher elos, a lot of people are playing Orisa Sigma, and that's kind of just normal. But everybody's gotten sick of it. Most people are picking Rhine over it just because it's more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if Ana gets picked, most people are picking Rhine anyway, just because it's a better pocket. Uh,
Okay.
and Brig is also just an amazing pocket for Rhine too. And then Ashe and Genji are meta, so that's kind of just, you can see that both teams are literally playing the same thing.
It's kind of funny saying that Ashe and Genji are meta. Definitely in the games I play, I see Genji all the time. Now, they're not that good, so they're easy to clown on, but yeah, especially with on a Nano Blade, I'm sure you see that
Oh
quite
yeah,
a bit.
yeah,
So,
that's a very common occurrence.
so right away, you guys, this is very common in higher level of play is to play on top of gas station. For those of you that probably play in plat and below, you're used to really holding this choke underneath the bridge. Um, what is kind of the thought process to why to hold this upper spot on gas station on Route 66?
So a lot of it has to do with just high ground control, map control. It's having like what that choke is under that little bridge that most people play at
Mm-hmm.
is is not a fun choke to play at as the defending side, because they have those two tunnels to the right that they can flank you. They have the very far left coast that they can flank you on. It's a bad spot to be on. You want to be up there so that you have all vision of all those openings. And having high ground in general is just overpowered because you can fall back, you can hide a little bit to gain resources if needed. Also, it's kind of a weird tech. You'll see me do it here out on the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually contest the payload from high ground.
That's actually. I'm glad you actually bring up that point because um, the one thing that just as an observation for myself is as Reinhardt, especially when you have a Brig and Genji, how much value can you actually get like holding high ground with heroes that aren't able to like utilize the high ground so much? Like, how are you personally getting value for your team standing on top of this gas station? Because all you've got is fire strike and your shield. So how do you really how do you make this fight into something instead of letting the attackers come to you? how are you dictating the fight instead of maybe allowing for Sigma and the rest to hold up here and you taking kind of a more forward position, maybe right here, making sure no one actually controls the high ground, and then you can back off backwards through this tunnel. How are you getting value as Reinhardt up here?
So it's mostly do with LOS with your supports. If you back out through that tunnel, if you take too much damage, they might just chase you and kill you.
Okay.
Uh, there's also having everybody up there helps you uh, dictate where the fight's going to be and like when the fight actually starts.
Okay.
So like the enemy team have to push payload. They can't really take the high ground from us. So but whenever the payload finally gets to us, we decide when the fight starts because we're going to drop.
Okay. Um,
And as Reinhardt, it's really not the best spot, but it's also like I'm basically shield botting for our Ashe and our Sigma to get value while we're waiting for the fight to start.
okay. And then, not trying to get too analytical, I don't want to hang up on this point too much. So, especially since you play on a team, um, and since I'm an engineer and kind of dork out when it comes to just kind of overall value analytics, the one thing that I have noticed is once the payload gets in front of the gas station, somewhere around this point here, you're
Mhm.
in like one fight territory. So if you lose that fight, it's going to make it all the way to the end over here, back to the gates and get you to the second phase in the attack. Why? Why does it? Why would it be so terrible to try to actually hold a little bit more of a forward position? I understand high ground is king, but if you know that masters level players are likely not going to push too hard with all six players up top, maybe only a Sigma goes up top or Ashe goes up top, and you can push her off high ground and kind of force a little bit more of the fight a little bit earlier and give your team a little bit more breathing room where you can maybe get into two fight territory if something breaks down. What is there any thought process into trying to do that, or is it just this is the best high ground to hold, so just hold here?
Yeah, it kind of is just this is the best high ground. It's just a normal like everybody agrees like this is where you're supposed to be. Uh, it's kind of weird. And the one fight territory thing, it's not really a big deal
Okay.
because whenever we're in higher elos, you're not really playing to hold.
Mm-hmm.
You're more playing for time.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, holding's good, but you want to play for time for ults so then you can start cycling ults so that you can like hold first.
Okay.
So if you play up forward and you die, like then they have so what's
Ultimate.
going to happen is
They
yeah,
have
they're going to have
ultimate
ultimate
advantage.
ultimate advantage.
Yep.
They're also going to have map control. So if you
Mm-hmm.
all die up there at that first choke, they get the high ground now.
Mm-hmm. Now, for all of you that are watching that are in platinum and below, and you're a Reinhardt and you stand on top of a gas station and all five of your players go under bridge, you pretty much have to fight under bridge. Don't stand up here because you're not really helping anybody out. So, as much as you want to try and hold what would be as the best position, you can try and talk to your team to do that. But there's also a lot of coordination as well too, making sure you rotate properly. So let's kind of play this through. Uh, kind of see this from your perspective. Just real quick, I want to make sure got sound high enough. All right. Okay, right there. I'm kind of surprised you threw a fire strike with into the Genji right there. So, when it comes to getting value out of your fire strikes, isn't that probably the best way for you to gain ult charge right now and probably be a little bit more careful with it? Are you looking to try to get a pick in the back line with your fire strikes? What are you trying to do with your fire strikes here?
It's a little weird. Yeah, I'm trying to build ult.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the danger of the Genji deflecting it back, but whenever the fight just starts, it doesn't matter because that just gives your supports more healing for their ults.
Okay. So
But like middle
it
fight, you don't want to throw fire strikes at Genjis.
yeah, that's the thing is, are you? That's the one thing I hear a lot. That something like this is you gain support ult. Like you'll get more ult out of your supports, but you're also, of course, giving the Genji. Um, he's getting also ult as well too. What's more powerful, the Genji getting his ult or your Ana or Brig getting their ult?
It's a little even. I think their
Sure.
Genji probably gets more value out of his ult
Okay.
than an Ana does, but it's just it's like a fair trade kind of thing.
Okay. So at this point, how are the comms in this game? Was there a lot of talking? Were you guys calling out? Because at this point, you should probably know that what the lineup is. You're going against Genji, Ashe, um, and then also you got Ana Brig. You pretty much have an exact mirror match on here. So what are you trying to look for? Are you trying to peel to go and maybe stop the Genji going after your back line because the Sigma is going to be the one that's actually trying to hit the payload? Are you the one just focusing on, throwing fire strikes at the payload? What are you looking to do here to help out the team?
Uh, I think right now it's mostly positional things. So
Okay.
like someone calls it the Ashes going left side, toward the mini.
Hmm.
Everybody knows that the Sig is up there. The Rhine's on point. That means their Ana's behind them. And then there's just like saving resources. Like I think everybody's just like, all right, just play slow. Like we just look for picks. Or their Ashe is probably the most dangerous threat. Genji isn't as much.
Okay. All right. So right now you're just trying to push up to contest the payload, but the Reinhardt gets up on top of you and you gotta back off, correct?
Yep.
So so in order to properly contest the payload, so they're pretty much just getting free payload moving. Like, how do you combat this? Are you just waiting for your DPS to get a pick here? How are you thinking of moving forward on this next spot? Because you just lost your Ashe in this fight. Are you looking to try to make an aggro play? Are you looking to back off at this point? What's your thought once the Ashe goes down?
Once the Ashe goes down, it's almost basically a last fight. So like
Okay,
it's more we have to go for an aggro play and try to get picks to win,
sure.
or we pretty much lose the point.
Okay,
So I'm trying to build my shatter. Our Ana almost has nano. I'm pretty sure as soon as she gets it, she just nanos me,
okay,
and then I think we start to go contest after this.
okay. Okay, so you drop down, trying to contest, get a pick. It's a good shatter there. How in the world did you guys get no value out of that? Hold on, I'm gonna
Uh,
reverse this real quick.
Mostly because Ashe was down. Like she's our pick potential kind of hero.
Yeah. Okay, so you drop down contest. Now you're just trying to get hopefully one pick to swing this fight right here before you get. Okay, there's really not
Yeah.
much you can do with this. Um, Once your Ashe goes down, all right, the aggro makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so now on this second point here, you're pretty much going to hold this lower corner down here, or are you going to, you are going to go up and contest here?
I am not.
Okay, so you do back off, all right.
Yeah. We have 3 dead that have bad spawns, so there's no reason to play up there. So we just back off and reset.
So why aren't you going up and taking high ground? Actually, I'm a little confused why maybe that Ashe isn't trying to take high ground here. Is she just playing down with you? What's kind of the point with you not trying to assess a little, or kind of take this corner up top on top of the stairs?
Right now, I think the Ashe was just falling back with me. I think she had already used Coach, so she couldn't get up there yet. And she
Okay.
was just using my shield to shoot. but I'm pretty sure after this fight we do take high ground. It's just not as important right now because we're waiting for regroup.
Okay. All right. So their brig or your guys' brig uses rally, and the problem is this is a it's really hard to get aggressive for in this position right there with rally.
Yeah.
And then they use nano blade, sigma. Okay, they're just ulting you guys like crazy right now, so you just pretty much have to back off.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we lose the fight.
Yeah, not much you can really do in that fight there.
But one of the things we like, I'm pretty sure in comms, like we call out the ults they use, and they're like, all right, we have another fight because they ulted really early,
Okay.
and we have nano blade going in. I'm pretty sure he does it with no one there really, but that's fine.
That
I mean,
that
it's higher level. They know what they're doing.
that's I'm yeah, I'll just probably leave it at that. Okay, so okay, right there. Why did you drop down so quickly um, at this position, especially without not knowing where any of their players are?
I am going straight to my supports.
Okay,
That like they're the ones who need protection.
okay, so you're more concerned about making sure that they're okay first off, instead of trying to again give a little bit more support to your DPS player on high ground that because you're looking to try to stop the bleeding at this point, and your biggest thing is just protect them first instead of trying to get a pick before you drop down a payload.
Yeah, because we're down. I think there's still one more behind me still coming in. So,
Okay.
and we're also just down Genji, but they have two down, so it's not as bad. Okay, so pretty much all five of us are here, other than the Genji, and they're two down.
Okay.
So it's more just a regroup, make sure the supports are okay, and then we push
Okay.
because we want to. You want to be together. Like Ash and I mean Anna and Brig are a brawl kind of support line.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure at the same pace as I am.
Okay. So this kind of interesting. Like my first instincts would have been check to see where the enemy team is below. Kind of protect the Ash to start. They look like that they were well. They got Bob behind them. They look like they're in pretty good position right there. And then you can find the right target to go after. But you're just doing this more as a just a defensive type of keep your supports alive so you don't lose anybody because you already have an advantage in this fight. You're not looking to try to swing anything, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That works out too. You end up getting a Kenzie. That's a pretty big kill there. So your thought process is much better than my thought process when it comes to that fight. Because my first instinct would have been try and support the DPS player, but instead you go back for your supports and you end up getting the Genji. So
Yeah.
okay, so why are you extending out so far at this point? Because this seems like this is a really dangerous spot to get to right here instead of kind of holding at the corner.
Uh, it's it was kind of an overextension, but
Okay,
I know I have the resources with Zarya. Our Brig does die, but I have Ana also,
okay,
so it should be fine. And I have enough time to back out since they're still down probably too.
okay. All right. The one thing I wondered though, you say you have enough resources to back out though, which ends up, of course, being the case. You can get out, but then as your shield is breaking, there is so much open area on Route 66. I would think that you would want to not actually just kind of quote waste your shield because now it puts you in a very vulnerable position for the rest of this ongoing fight because you either need to duck behind cover to get it back and kind of be out of the fight. Is that overextension maybe could have lasting effects because now your shield's in a much worse position than it would be if you just kind of played a little bit safer position to start this?
Probably. It's kind of a weird pace thing. A lot of people talk about it in higher lows is ebb and flow, so it's a push and pull.
Okay.
So I like to call it teeter tottering, which is the same thing. Like one team kind of takes the advantage, and the other team, like if you back out, that then you're dropping that advantage.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's man. I was shocked with that. That was really well done. Nice play.
Thank you.
Okay, so you are transitioning. So that's what's kind of interesting. So you kept low ground because you saw your Ashe was down on low ground, and then you guys pushed up on high ground. Try to get a fire strike. Yep. So your Brig pops a rally. Why give up the high ground so fast here? Aren't you in a disadvantage? Disadvantageous? That's not even a word. You're in a worse position dropping down here. Why not try and hold this upper spot longer instead of just giving up this high ground?
Uh, it's it's more about that because they push that left side. I have no corner to play at, which means that means my Ana and my Brig have no corner to play at
Okay.
unless they have to be out in the open to peek me and heal me.
Mm-hmm.
So backing up to where they're going to be safe, and
Okay,
I'm going to be able to play a corner.
so they're able to play a little bit more behind here. They don't have to be. What you're saying is swing out here, where you can get the Ashe to hit you because you pretty much put them out of position by being up there. Is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay. You skipped move there.
Yeah.
No.
I was really upset about that one. Right here, I mess up horribly. I let my Zarya die.
Well, so that's the hard part too. So like, were you calm that they also Bob was sitting out there too? I mean, you did get double alted there, so that's that's a tough spot to be in. But let's kind of go back to that real quick. So you said you let your Zarya die on this fight. So let's look at this from top point of view. So what you're saying is you should have gone up on high ground to fight with your Zarya.
No, she had tried to back out, and I like looked behind me, and I dropped my shield, so she then got hit by the Ashe
I see.
right there.
So did you watch this review before you sent it to me? Because that's, I mean, you actually knew that that happened. Do you remember that kind of stuff? Because that seems
I
like a really
I
good memory.
I like quickly reviewed it myself,
Mm.
and then but before I did realize because I think he yelled at me.
So you got flamed for turning. Okay.
Yeah, I
But
was yeah. Someone said Bob was behind, and I was like, oh, well, I probably shouldn't be at this corner.
okay. Well, I mean, but is that so? Is that necessarily your fault though? Especially as like a main tank player, you got, you talk about your supports behind you. You got Bob behind you. You're trying to figure out what they're calling out, so you turn and look. I mean, is that really necessarily your fault? Um, I guess that's kind of debatable,
Yeah, it's a little debatable.
but you guys are still definitely in this, or it's just the three of you, so guys should be able to push the Ana. So again, so you're split there.
Yeah, the Sig just me and the Kree went for Ana, and the Sig
Yes.
just walked behind us.
So that's the interesting thing is, so do you just keep pushing up. I'm just trying to make sure you secure the kill on the Ana, but then the rest of their team comes back, so...
Or I think around this time, both teams have the same amount of spawn time, or like, no one has a spawn advantage at this point, so it's kind of
So you guys
evenly,
got
like, for both 3v3, it's going to be about the same if they come back, if time we come back.
Okay, so why that shatter there? Because with this shatter nerf, um, are you just trying to slow down the fight? Because that seems like that's just a wasted shatter at that point.
It was a wasted shatter entirely because I meant to hit the Rhine, but he put his shield up, or he had his shield up, and I tried to predict him.
Okay,
But it does slow down because they are using rally,
sure.
and having a rally brig is basically a Reinhardt. So, and I don't want her swinging at me.
Okay, okay. Oh, this, you guys got to be able to get that Reinhardt. Oh man, there we go. Oh, that was actually the Sig.
Yeah, so I backed up away from this little cubby because the Sig was hitting me from behind, and he's a pretty big threat.
Yeah,
So I let the Reinhardt come out because like just putting myself at a bad angle is worse than trying to kill him.
sure. You guys clean it. I like how you threw another fire strike at a deflecting Genji right there.
Oh yeah.
So they have Nano Blade for this fight. You guys don't have really a lot to stop this, so I'm curious to see how this is going to work. Okay. Alright, so this seems a little different than before. Why are you giving up high ground so quickly now?
To be honest, I don't know. I
Okay,
like that's actually it probably wasn't the best idea, but I think just holding that back corner is a little better than staying up there because I think my shield's starting to crack.
okay. Because my thinking
And
is, especially with just Sigma rushing you down, I mean, first off, Sigma doesn't want to fight you up close. Um, but once you give up this position, he's kind of like free to do whatever he wants to. So,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, we really don't have the range to deal with them as much. Like Ash and Kree kind of do, but not really, because the once he the shield breaks, he just has eat.
Okay. Yeah, you guys pretty much lost this fight.
A lot of it has to do with that Sig who was on that high ground. He
Yeah,
has all that. He has that extra angle, that off angle that gave them a lot of space.
yeah, that's probably
Like, yeah, the Nano Genji was probably a big problem, but after that, once he didn't have Nano Blade anymore, it was kind of it was all
okay.
the Sig.
Okay, so he's able just to. Oh yeah, he can just completely pressure you guys from up top. So I guess that was. So that's where like it depends on, with masters level players. Like in my opinion, like depending on like if you go aggro on that Sigma on high ground, do you think he typically drops because the rest of their team probably can't really do too much to you? Um, if you know, I mean, I'm not saying you get super aggressive and like push up past that bridge, but at what point do you kind of let him have the high ground while the rest of the team is kind of going under bridge? So I guess the question that I'm trying to ask you here is like, at one point do you need to try and create this space of making sure that people aren't getting high ground, but if the rest of their team has nano blade down low, are you kind of just stuck between a rock and a hard place, or do you think you really made a mistake actually dropping down to play with your team?
Um, it's a weird one. because like still we don't really have much to deal with him. I'm the only shield. Like if we also had our sig, if we had a sig like we did first point,
Yep.
it probably would have been easier.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have Zarya, it's harder to hold off angles. We're basically a 6-man brawl.
Sure.
While
Okay.
they have Genji and Sig who can both off angle and Ashe.
Okay. Oh, I'm surprised you used
Yeah,
Earth Shatter there.
yeah, I did that. We don't
Okay.
need to talk about that one. It was a dumb idea. Because like I saw the opportunity, I saw the 6-man, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna attack that point too much, but like, yeah, you know that's an error. That's all right. Okay, so you're trying to get up to this corner. Right?
Yeah, so playing slow at that point was because they switched Widow, and making sure that everybody is kind of playing against the wall.
The other thing is too, I've noticed is you seem to not really like either want to use pin or try and find like a short angle, a side angle to use pin to get a pick. I know it puts you in a very vulnerable position a lot of times. I like this aggression here. There we go. Nice job pushing him back.
Yeah, pin is it's never a good idea.
Except
Almost.
Yeah, right there it makes sense to get you back in the fight, but you guys should get really aggressive here. Get slept. This is probably one of the funnest spots to fight as Reinhardt. Nice. And then hold Shatter here. So, was it a mistake there not to keep pushing for the Sigma? Or, because your shield's not really doing a whole heck of a lot to protect your team there on the Widow. I don't believe. Should you have maybe tried to really try to get that Sigma to
Uh,
make sure that they can't push the payload here?
well, the Sigma in my head, the Sigma was already out.
It was
Like
already out. Okay.
yeah, like if they're near their spawn, they're out. Like that's it. The
Okay.
Widow was the only person still in the fight, so we have to deal with the Widow.
Okay. Holy cow, he got his ult already.
I made a big mistake there by staying to contest.
What do you, what do you mean by staying there to contest that? Why was that a big mistake there?
So I was like, after Sigil, I was like less than 100 health, and I'm pretty sure I dropped my shield, but I was expecting my healers to keep me up, and they
Hmm.
didn't. So, and
Okay.
I probably should have known that they weren't going to. I was very low. And they had a lot of pressure.
I
I
don't.
should have just backed out a little bit and re-engaged later.
I'm actually kind of. I don't get why. Why was Widowmaker the choice? I. It seems like a really
On our side or their side?
on your side. I don't get why they swapped to Widow on this one.
A lot of people like to just take the Widow duel. It's just common.
There's not much you can do here. All right, so now on attack, of course, they're likely going to be holding high ground like you were. So what are you trying to? Of course, get some fire strikes here, but what are you looking to do? Do the same thing as the other Reinhardt did. Get on top of payload, push them off a high ground is what you're looking for.
Yes. So right now I'm saving shield, saving resources by not making my Ana need to heal me as much. And then as soon as we hit this corner, this billboard, that's whenever I start trying to jump up.
The one thing I am noticing though, I I know, kind of joking around with the Genji and all that, but you do seem to kind of throw your fire strike into a handful of cooldowns that seem like the Sigma was using grasp at that point, and is were you just trying to time it that it was going to drop when you threw it?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
I saw him use it. And I was like, oh, I thought I'd be able to get it right before or right after it ends. I
okay,
didn't.
all right, all right. You guys got all this is you guys won this fight.
Yeah.
You get 2 easy picks. Okay, so now you just. So any reason why you're not pushing up to take high ground?
Uh, I think I do. And then it just like there's not very many people up there. It doesn't really matter. We knew we were gonna take a point.
But don't you want to kind of push anyone off that high ground just to start this next fight anyways, or because either way you're kind of exposed unless you stay on the left hand side. Don't you want to be pushing that high ground anyways as Reinhardt?
Probably. I think it was more. It again. LOS's supports. I don't know where they are. I'm not always looking backwards.
Okay.
If I push up too far, if I sit on that high ground where they can't see me.
Oh, you're pushing up real far. Oh. Okay, I think this is a pretty big mistake here.
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, you got yourself in a pretty good spot there.
Yeah, that was just that was a little ebb and flow kind of thing. It was
Okay.
they had not really ebb and flows. More my team didn't really understand that I wanted to take all to fight there.
Okay. Well,
Or maybe they were just slow too.
that's the hard part of playing solo queue, right? You're trying to make decisions with people you never really play with.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to this fire strike here, fire strike, this earth shatter here, are you looking to try to find an opportunity for when Reinhardt drops shield? Are you looking to just, especially with the nerf now, it's really hard to get like a mass wipeout like you can because you can't do as good of combinations with two swings and a fire strike. Are you looking at just trying to get a support player? What are you trying to accomplish here with this earth shatter?
Usually I just look for Ryan. Anyone behind him is just icing on the cake.
Okay, all right. So you're waiting for him to potentially use his fire strike, an opportunity where he's not paying attention.
Yeah. Or whenever resources are down, he's forced to swing or something like that.
Did you? What in the world is yours? Who did your Zarya?
Bubble? Me?
No, no, no. Didn't she just use Graph?
Yes. It didn't get eaten. I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out.
Okay, I have to watch that again. I have no idea what happened to that Graph.
I had no idea she used it.
I heard.
Didn't say Sigma ate it, so it couldn't have been that.
Oh.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry. I'll just move on. Okay.
Oh, that's sad.
Oh, that was beautiful. There we go. You get just pushing him. And he wasted his shatter too.
Yeah. My Zarya blocked
and
it. Bubble on me.
Oh. Felt like a platinum game there for a second.
Yeah, it happens at every elo. I promise you there are games I have, I'm like, God, this feels like gold. What was going on?
Okay, so this is interesting. Why I don't get why you would take the time to take this high ground here.
It's for there's a small fire strike angle I can hit, and it also can help any DPS I want to set up here for if they recontest.
Oh, that's just good to know. Okay. Ah. Okay. Learned something new. have to use that myself.
It's a good one. There's a lot of Fire Strike angles.
Okay, so they use. So you guys use you got Rally. Try to get them off a push them off a high ground, but man, you're just getting.
They keep on bashing me off or
Yeah.
whipping me off. It was sad.
Yeah, that's pretty it's pretty tough when you're trying to shove them off a high ground and just keep getting bounced back. But yeah, your anti can't really push hard here. You got no shield. That's unfortunate. So you guys use a handful of ultimates here. I'm trying to just for learning purposes here. At, at what point are you like concerned that you weren't able to really get much value out of the ultimates that you guys had? You know, you guys use Nano and Shatter. Um, are you just trying to hope that you're getting a pick right here and just pushing as hard as possible, or because the next fight they're also going to have a handful of ultimates too? So because you aren't able to land anything, what's kind of your thought in trying to get this payload to the end here? Because you guys do have a lot of extra time than they do.
So because we used ults, and usually whenever people ult, there's a lot of counter ulting.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't counter ult, so it's basically just a neutral fight at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we just keep playing the fight out
Okay.
as it is.
All right.
And like I'm sure a lot of people know about counter ulting and lower elos whenever everybody just hits ult at the same time as soon as they hear other ults.
Okay. All right. So they used a couple ults there. Well, at least you get maybe.
We have Grab Dragon,
Yeah.
And Rally.
Hopefully the Zarya actually grabs somebody.
Hopefully.
There we go. That Echo ult, it just gives a get out of jail free card, kind of drives me crazy.
Yeah, the greatest thing about Echoes whenever they switch to tanks is they're DPS players. They probably don't know how to play tank very well, and they just get insta melted.
Okay,
I always tell.
here, how come? Is there any reason why you're not playing in a more forward position to one of the spawn doors? Why you waited kind of further back instead of really trying to pressure them out? Because you're still kind of out in the open in this spot right here. This isn't. So any reason why you're not actually trying to maybe even clog the right door where Bob's got the left door to make sure that they are just suffocated? Because I don't think you'll get too overextended by doing that.
It's a little harder. It's kind of like there's two spawn doors. There's not a lot of space we can take whenever it comes to both of them.
Okay.
Like it comes to them down to the different tank line, the Sigma and Zarya, because Zarya can't just hold an angle by herself. You kind of just have to play as 6.
So I'm surprised that you walked right past Bob. And don't you need to kind of back off there and kind of protect your team instead of moving forward with Bob behind you? Because isn't the rest of your team just kind of they're kind of just there's not much for them to do with Bob right now. Like, is there any reason why you kind of just walked past him and didn't help your team out with him?
I'm pretty sure I had faith that my Ana had sleep.
Okay. I mean,
And if not, I kind of just hope that he'd be shooting me,
okay. All right.
which I'm pretty sure he is anyway. So
Okay.
but that's what caused me to really back up, was that Sigma on that high ground.
Yeah, their Ashe has got high ground too.
Yeah, that's a crazy spot. I never knew about that one until that game.
Man. Oh, and you use Dragon on that fight.
Yeah. I think he did it from spawn or like far back.
Why?
I don't know. That was up to him.
Okay. It at this point, you guys keep trying to do the same thing, going right up the middle. Does it make more sense to calm with your team to maybe go like left hand side, try and take high ground, get your Ashe in a good position, because then you can drop down on payload instead of going straight down the middle of this corridor and just getting pounded as you guys are coming up? Um, any reason why you're not trying to alter what you're trying to do here?
That could work. Usually at like even at higher elos, not a lot of people are gonna follow up on calls. People aren't gonna just
Sure.
rotate like that. Like it takes a lot of calming to try to rotate like that.
Okay.
And not a lot of people are willing to, or anything like that.
Sure. Okay.
So it's kind of just keep going down main. Hopefully you'll figure it out.
So again, I'm just surprised. Like sometimes you don't just try to do a pin here. Like it seems like you're just like you won't use the pin. Oh, you don't have pin. Never mind. It's on cooldown. That was the dumbest thing I've said so far in this. Okay. It seems like though you do just seem to kind of completely avoid using like pin at like almost all costs. I know that lower elo people pin in crazy.
Constantly.
Yes, like I understand that it's not a good move. Don't worry when the other Reinhardt pins into our backline, he somehow lives every single time. But
If you do it, like you die, yeah. I know that feel.
so I'm just surprised you don't try to get some kind of off angles, short angles to do it, because it just seems like it can be like an easy pick at times, but I I don't know. It just seems like because his kit is so limited to begin with that if you're not getting value out of like part of his pin,
A lot of his value just comes out of him being alive.
sure.
That's all that matters, is that you're alive.
And then everyone punts every single cooldown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just stinks because you guys are just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over. Because they got control of the high ground. They got angles on you guys. It's like you're just funneled into this death trap.
Yeah, they definitely have map control.
Are you gonna win this fight?
Yes, we do have overtime rounds.
Holy cow. You guys lost 2 to start this fight.
No, we got 2 picks. Our Ashe got the kills.
Oh,
Pretty sure.
I reversed that then.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you guys lost. My buddy Quinn's saying another huge grab. So that's...
Oh yeah, he solo grabbed the Nano Doom, which is actually big brained. That was actually a huge grab.
Okay. So, are you guys sticking with this same lineup? You guys are on defense here.
Actually, we switched up. Someone made the call to play close in their spawn to hold back time.
So why Orisa's an interesting choice. Are you just trying to get?
It's about it's just it's weird. It's just trying to hold that like literally just hold the payload where it's at. And she has all the survivability in the world. She has Fortify, she has Halt to pull him back, and she just has her own shield. And Ryan's just there to swing.
See, this is now I feel like this is a platinum game. Okay, this is how it should be.
Yeah, we get insta-rolled here.
Okay, you guys tried something different this Supremacy.
And we knew we weren't going to hold it. It was literally just for time. Like, we took down 20 seconds. Which is actually a lot more than people think. Like, I'm pretty sure at a pro level, like Owl, if you hold spawn doors and it lasts 35 seconds or longer, you got so much value out of that hold.
Yeah. Well, on top of it, too, it's not like you get another recontest here. The only problem is like you talked about earlier, is they're going to have ult advantage, so they could really snowball this potentially.
Yeah, they could.
That's just the downside, so you guys really need to try and get a pick here soon. Oh, nice. Okay.
There's the other one. It's the greatest thing about Masters DPS.
That they kill things?
Yeah.
Good counter pick. Yeah, Shatter.
That's another reason why why you don't always pin. A lot of the pin is all about being able to counter pin. So if the enemy Ryan doesn't know you have, or knows that you don't have pin, he will try to pin you because it's such an now you can't counter pin.
Sure. Yeah, it's like a chess game that you're playing there. I mean, to be honest with you, it's kind of interesting. That's the one thing I've been working on is because Reinhardt in lower tier do pin constantly. His counter pinning's huge, but when you play with not the best teams in the world, I seem to be the one that dies when I counter pin.
Usually there's some weird ways to counter pin. Like you can do it from around a corner, like literally 90 degrees to him. And like that usually helps, you know, always playing corners and just making sure you can do that.
It is time to act.
And just having like literally holding corners, like it's just
the
best.
So just so far as kind of like a recap, I mean, just hopefully to give you like maybe you'll get some pointers on this. I mean, in general, of course, you're a really good player. You know what you're doing. You play on a professional team. So I do again appreciate you coming on to do this. It seems like sometimes you can get a little bit more value out of your fire strikes just at times, but sometimes when you're trying to time stuff, it's all right. And I don't think you got too overly aggressive in this game. I think you just had the one mistake at second point. Just getting a little bit too far out there. And probably maybe trying to hold high ground from time to time, especially when you're going against this Sigma. Overall, nice counter pin. That's interesting that now that Reinhardt is getting aggressive with his pins.
Yeah, I think they had their Ashe or Doom die really early, so he has to look for something to take it. So swing the fight.
Good job.
Yeah. A lot of Ryan is about playing corners and shield management.
Sure.
I don't think I think my shield broke maybe twice in that entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's like I said, this everybody calls it ebb and flow. I'm not entirely sure. I've never actually researched what it is, but it's like if you're a lot of Ryans at lower elos, whenever their shield breaks, they just instantly get really aggressive.
Oh,
That's
yeah, yeah.
the absolute wrong thing to do. Your
Yeah.
shield is like whenever I say I'm low, my health isn't low, my shield's low, because that's your health. It's not your actual health.
No,
Like your actual HP bar is not your health. Your shield is 100% your health.
and I think I don't, and I think part of the shield issue for a lot of players isn't necessarily the shield itself. It's that they don't position themselves around corners to allow themselves to, step back, actually let the shield regen as well too. They're too busy standing out in the middle of the street. Actually, the other Reinhardt seemed like he actually played a lot more, not really around tight corners as much. You play the corners much better for sure. Like, which is another thing that people don't use natural cover as much as they should as Reinhardt's. They hold shield, they walk forward, and then when it breaks, they just start pinning across the map because they don't feel like they have anything else to do. So
Yeah, it's
so
corner play is everything with Reinhardt. It's a lot of mind gaming with the enemy Reinhardt. It's corner play. It's shield management, and
sure. Well, again, man, I do appreciate you taking the time to do this. It was definitely both worthwhile for me. Hopefully, you got something out of it as well too. Maybe even in the future too, if there's anyone else that has some main tanks, and if you want to collaborate and even do like a VOD review together of someone else's work, and you'd be willing to do that, I'd be up for that. Okay.
Like if you ever have someone who, like, if you want me to join for a main tank VOD review that you have, I'll totally come join.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna have to head off here.
All right.
But have a good rest of your. Well, it's night for you. It's morning for me. So have a good one and take care.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.